Here are 7 steps in comprehending a poem. Today we are going to investigate the poem The Secret Language by Luisa Igloria. So our first step is to set up the poem. Meaning, we need to know more about the background of the author, the mood, the theme of the poem, to help us understand clearly what the poem is all about. So the poem that we are going to discuss was written by Luisa Igloria. So Luisa Igloria was a Filipina who was living merely about many years in the States. So we know the comparison between her life and the poem. And also, the mood of the poem is somewhat like a lost child who don't know her or his identity. The theme for me of the poem is about how we need to never forget where we came from, even though we are changed drastically by some sorts of external or internal factors. We must never forget where we came from, what we are, and who we are. Step 2 is to read the poem twice. In this setup, the teacher will read the poem aloud, and then maybe to freshen up the understanding of the students, and then after that, the students will now read on their own silently. So let's say, for example, I will read the poem as a teacher aloud. So the poem is The Secret Language by Luisa Igloria. I have learned your speech, fair stranger, for you. I have oiled my hair and coiled it tight into a braid as thick and beautiful as a serpent in your story of Eden. For you I have covered my breast and hidden among the folds of my surrendered inheritance the beads I have worn since girlhood. It is 50 years now since the day my father took me to the school in Bua. A headman's terrified. Peace gift in the doorway. The teacher stood, her hair the bleached color of corn, watching with bearded eyes. Now I am Christina. I am told I can make lace, fine enough to lay upon the altar of a cathedral in Europe. But this is a place that I will never see. I cook for tourists at an inn. They praise my lemon pie and my English, which they say is flawless or faultless. I smile and look past the window, imagining fathers and grandfathers' cattle, grazing by the smoke trees. But it is evening, and these are ghosts. In the night when I am alone at last, I lie uncorseted upon the iron bed, composing my lost beads over my chest, dreaming back, each flecked and opalescent color, crooning the names along with mine, Binay, Binay. So it's time for you students to read the poem on your own, and then we will brainstorm after. If you have any questions, just approach me, okay? Next step, or the step 3, is to use investigative skills and identify the narrator or the speaker of the poem. Okay, so in the poem by Luisa Igloria, the speaker is Christina, or in the local name, she was Binay. Binay was her name in the Philippines. And then while she was transformed into something else or someone else, she now is Christina after 50 years. So knowing the setting is very important in comprehending a poem, because it gives a clear path and a clear visualization of how the poem is setting forth. So we can ask questions where and when. So for example, where did the poem happen? Well, I think in the poem, by Luisa e Gloria, I think there are two settings because of the two personas. It was the past persona in the Philippines and the present or the future persona, which is in the States or any outside the Philippines. It's in domestic land because she was transformed into someone new in regards to how she moving to another place. So the mood contributes to how the poem should be explained because the mood tells us how the persona of the poem or the character really radiates on how he or she is feeling within it. So I think for me, in the poem Luisa y Gloria, she was feeling devastated in how she was transformed into someone new because she wanted to be Binay, but under some circumstances she was now or she is now rather Christina because of some issues or some unfortunate events. So basically the mood of the poem is about how she is angry, she is furious, she is sad, she is just not accepting the fact that from Binay, a little girl, now living in a foreign land with her only herself, working and doing something, her postures, her accessories, her hair has changed because of some unfortunate events. Our step 6 is to summarize the poem. So summarizing the poem needs to be done after reading twice the poem. We give chance to the students to create their own understanding or comprehension of the poem, but I think it's for the teachers to give them the right or the accurate comprehension. So it's basically a good thing because we'll have a united rather, we have a united understanding of the poem, and then we can check whether the comprehension level of the students are in good or in moderation or in bad. So yeah, so if, as a teacher, I will just do this. Okay, class, I will summarize the poem and then we will discuss after if we have the same comprehension with me, and the comprehension should be in unison. Okay, so yeah, this is the summary of the poem. Luisa y Gloria's The Secret Language tackles the life of a native Filipina who was forced to look and dress like a foreigner. The poem develops as the girl's physical attributes changes, like being covered with clothes, putting braids on her hair, and etc. However, the poem makes as a disclaimer that the last part saying that underneath all these accessories, all this change, she is still a native Filipina and her name will always be Binay, not Christina. The poem is very heart-wrenching at parts, showing how Filipinos' identity are being taken off by foreign influences. Why is it heart-wrenching? Because I agree in everything that she says, and because it reveals the truth of how Filipinos are forgetting their real identities. But as Luisa y Gloria stated in the poem, it's not what it seems to be. All of us are still Filipinos at heart, and despite all the changes and influences of the foreign nations, we know who we are and we know what we are. Last step, or the seventh step, is to put the poem in action or draw a picture. For some students who are having a hard time comprehending the poem, I think it's a must for them to create a visualization. I think we should give them more chances of hearing their sides by letting them draw what they did understand about the poem or what they think happened in the poem, so to see a clear manifestation of their own understanding or or their own comprehension of the poem. So as a teacher, I think I will just do like this. Okay, everyone, so to those who does not understand the poem, think of something that struck you when you were reading the poem, and then I want you to draw it in a piece of bond paper, and then maybe you can explain why you did draw that drawing, and we will brainstorm after that. Okay, students, thank you.